ज्ञानाञ्जना शलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांचं च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगन श्रीललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितमस्ति च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत श्रीराधा कांत नमोस्तुते। जयतां सुरतौ पंगुर्ममः मन्दमतेर्गति मत्सर्वस्य पदाम्भोजो श्रीराधा मदन्मोहनो दिव्यवृन्दावरण्यकल्पद्रुमाद श्रीमद्रत्नागर सिंहासनस्थौ श्रीमद्राधा शीलगोविन्ददेवो पृष्ठालिभिः सेव्यमानो स्मरामि श्रीमद्रासरसारम्भी वंशीवटतटस्थितः कर्षणवेणुसनेरगोपीरगोपीनाथ श्रीअस्तु नः। तप्त कांचन गौरंगी श्रीराधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवते उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नष्टिकी। श्रीमद् भागवत गीता की जय हो। श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय हो। भागवतम पुराण की जय हो। So I would like to thanks all the assembled devotees who assembled here today in Srimad Bhagavatam lecture. I would like to beg mercy of Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada and Guru Parampara, so that I can able to recite this shloka, which is today we are in Canto 1, Chapter 3, Shlok number 33 is the text today. And I would like to beg forgiveness if I commit anything or if I state something wrong, and I would like to expect the assembled devotees to please correct me. And and if something good you listen today, that's all because of the mercy of my Guru Maharaj. And whatever I heard from my Guru and from different lectures and different Vaishnavas, because of them I have able to bring out some points today. And if something wrong I spoke is all because of me. So I would like correction from the devotees there. So we can go to the shloka today. यत्र मे सद्रूपे प्रतिषिद्धे संविदा अविद्यात्मनि कृते अविद्यायात्मनि कृते इति तद् ब्रह्म दर्शनम्. Anybody likes to read the shloka?
यत्रे मे सद असद्रूपे प्रतिसिद्धे स्वसंसिदा अविद्यायात्मनि कृते इति तद् ब्रह्म दर्शनम्.
from Mataji side. Okay. Go ahead, Mataji.
यत्रे मे सत् असत् रूपे प्रतिसिद्धे स्वसंविदा अविद्यायात्मनि कृते इति तत् ब्रह्मदर्शनम्.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Translation. Whenever a person experiences by self-realization that both the gross and subtle bodies have nothing to do with the pure self, at that time he sees himself as well as the Lord. So this shloka is more towards self-realization. Today, have to see what Srila Prabhupada has written the purport. Purport Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The difference between self-realization and material illusion is to know that the temporary or the illusionary impositions of the material energy in the shape of gross and subtle bodies are superficial coverings of the self. The coverings takes place due to ignorance. Such coverings are never effective in the person of the personality of Godhead. Knowing this convincingly is called liberation, or seeing the absolute. This means that the perfect self-realization is made possible by adoption of godly or spiritual life. Self-realization means becoming indifferent to the needs of the gross and subtle bodies and becoming serious about the activities of the self. The impetus of the activities is generated from the self, but such activities become illusionary due to ignorance. The impetus of the activities is generated from the self, but such activities become illusionary due to the ignorance of the real position of the self. By ignorance, self-interest is calculated in terms of gross and subtle bodies, and therefore a whole set of activity is spoiled, life after life. When, however, one meets the self by proper culture, the activities of self begin. Therefore, a man who is engaged in the activities of self is called Jivan Mukta, or the liberated person, even in the conditional existence. This perfect stage of self-realization is attained not by artificial means, but under the lotus feet of the Lord, who is always transcendental. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that He is present in everyone's heart, and from Him only all knowledge, remembrance, or forgetfulness takes place. When the living being desires to be an enjoyer of the material energy, illusionary phenomena, the Lord covers the living being in the mystery of forgetfulness. And thus, the living being misinterprets the gross body and subtle body to be his own self. And by culture of transcendental knowledge, when living being prays to the Lord for deliverance from the clutches of the forgetfulness, the Lord, by His causeless mercy, removes the living being's illusionary curtain, and thus he realizes his own self. He then engages himself in the service of the Lord in his eternal constitutional position, becoming liberated from the conditioned state life. All this is executed by the Lord either through his external potency or directly by the internal potency. Namo Om Vishnu Pada Vishnu Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Namaste Swami Namaste Prabhupada Namaste. So I first of all feel blessed today to get opportunity to read or recite Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, the morning class. Although I'm not capable, but still I'm trying to make this shloka more understandable with my understanding level. So, and as I said that this shloka is more towards this self-realization, what exactly our real business in this material world. One may say that okay, if I'm an engineer, then my real business is to construct something. Or if someone says that I'm a doctor, my real business, my goal of life is to cure or treat the diseased person. So when you say real business is basically comprised of two things. One is the one which gives some monetary benefits to the person who is actually involved in that, and also that real business should give some kind of mental satisfaction, that I have done this, it's been done by me, it's created by me, or some kind of mental satisfaction as well as some monetary benefit drives the interest of the person towards some business or some work. But when we say our real business as a human being, then our only business that's been described in the Shastra is to realize ourselves when we get this human form of life. Because that self-realization is only possible in the human form of life. That is not possible in mosquito form of life. It's not possible in dog's form of life. It's not possible in any other form of life. It's only and only possible in human form of life. So this lifespan which we are living is very, very precious. Srila Prabhupada used to say that, and he often quotes that from Chanakya Pandit recitation, that if a moment in life, human life is wasted, that moment cannot be restored by any wealth in this world. The moment which is lost forever. So if we meditate some few minutes on this statement, then we think that right now the moment we are living in, that moment is just given to us once. We can either utilize that moment like we all devotees are utilizing it, listening Bhagavatam. So we are doing Shravanam, that one of the Navda Bhakti process. So we are trying to utilize, begging mercy of Krishna this moment. But there are people who are not there in the class. There are people who are not listening Bhagavatam. So in that sense, this moment is lost. In a sense, we can understand. When you say lost means what? What is the benefit we obtain from that moment? The benefit at this time is we are gaining the Sukriti, we are getting the mercy of Krishna, and which is eternal. So if you understand that, that you try to understand this, is really that's the main business of the entire scriptures, is to realize human being that who you are, first of all. That's Science of Self-Realization. It's a very good book Srila Prabhupada written, and it starts with the message, Athato Brahma Jigyasa. So here also we see the word came in the shloka as Brahma Darshanam. So Brahma Darshanam actually happens when we do the Brahma Jigyasa. Like for example, if somebody wants to desire for something, if somebody wants to know about something, he need to have a desire for it, first of all, right? Like if I need to know what's going on in space, how the space station is working, how the people living in the space station is surviving there. So in order to know that, indeed, I need to have some interest in space. I need to have some interest in space technologies, science, and everything. Similarly, if we have to do a Brahma Darshanam is the process of seeing the absolute, seeing the God. It actually starts with self-realization. Thato Brahma Jigyasa. That's the starting point, step number 1. in order to see the God, we have to first of all see ourselves, who we are. And there Srila Prabhupada actually explains the process of seeing ourselves is different from what we are accustomed to. Right now we are accustomed to see ourselves with these gross and subtle bodies. So as we know, everyone here probably have the idea that this body has 2 layers above us. So right now I am situated at the 3rd level in this body. Just above my level, there is a subtle body, which is covered of mind, intelligence, and ego. So that is a subtle body in everyone. We cannot see it. We cannot see mind. We cannot see intelligence. We cannot see ego as well. No matter how much a good surgeon a person be, but he cannot dissect the body to find out where the mind is there, where the ego is there, and where the intelligence is there. But they are available in the body, right? We see that. We often says that. We often quote that sentence. We see some intelligent child performed very well. We say, "Oh, how much intelligent this boy is!" So it means that boy has intelligence. So that intelligence is there, but we cannot see it. Similarly, if somebody feels proud of having some position and become egoistic, there is an ego also. He's feeling egoistic. He underestimate the other person because of his position. There is an ego in him, but he cannot see ego. Mind, we know that mind is this is a very famous topic of mind. We know that sometimes we say that, oh, my mind is not feeling good today, or I'm not feeling good to go to somewhere. It's all because mind-driven activities. So these three elements forms our subtle bodies: mind, intelligence, and false ego, which is just one layer above us. The another layer above mind, intelligence, false ego is the gross body, which we know is made up of, which we see right now. Each other, you are seeing me, I am able to see you if you open your video, or if you see the people going around. And so these are the whatever we see is basically the gross bodies we are seeing, made up of earth, water, fire, air, and ether, and 24 elements. We know that all those. So this we read in Bhagavad Gita and in Bhagavatam as well, that out of this 24, 28 elements, this entire material body is created. And this entire material body is not me. I am not these, I am not this, neither I am a gross body, nor I am a subtle body. That's what the self-realization topic starts from there. Srila Prabhupada explains that we should not consider ourselves a product of these 28 or 24 elements. We are that if someone realizes, that's why I think the difference between self-realization and material illusion is to know that temporary or illusionary impositions of material energy in the shape of gross subtle bodies are superficial coverings of the self. So it's basically the covering, which is actually covering me right now, and the process of realizing that. Now we sometimes hear something, and hearing is that keeps in our mind, that lives in our mind for some point of time, but then we forget. And again, we started correlating ourselves with the body and thinking that if body is gone, then everything is gone. If bodily relationship is gone, then everything is gone. If my citizenship is gone from certain country, then I have no place to live. Then there is nothing. Then I have no position with me. So all these bodily connections, like my body, my families, which are my relationships, I belong to certain state or country, all those things are associated with the bodily connections. And on top of that, seeing ourselves, this body, is the biggest mistake as per the Shastras and the Vedas. And now in Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada is explaining here, these are the coverings. These are not our real self. So the coverings takes place due to ignorance. Now, the next topic is how we come into this thought process of considering ourselves the body. That thought process actually starts with the illusion, ignorance. So ignorance of what? Ignorance about our absolute nature. So when we say that you are ignorant about what some small child is ignorant about how to deal with the critical matters of life because he don't know about it. If a student in grade 1 is given a topic of kinetic energy or some typical topic in the which is being studied in the higher classes, since he is ignorant about that topic, he don't know about that topic, he cannot able to digest that, he cannot able to understand that, neither explain to anyone what he's saying. Everything in front of him looks like a miracle. For example, if there is if someone do an experiment in front of that experiment is for example, producing like they take two magnets and then they hide one magnet behind a paper and put some iron nails on top of the paper, and that magnet and behind the paper is just moving on that magnet. Then on the top of the paper, those nails will appear as if moving by their own. And if we show that particular experiment to some ignorant person, or maybe a child who don't know about this magnetic field radiations and all those things, he will be bewildered with that. Oh, what's going on here? This is the magic. How the nails are moving by their own. So first thing, he is not able to see the magnet. Second thing, he don't know about the concept of magnetism or the magnetic energy or anything like that, which has the power to attract iron objects. And under the magnetic influence, that iron object is moving. Similarly, majority of the person are ignorant about the true nature of this world, and which Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita is saying under which influence we are moving. We are under the influence of three modes, and that influence is so much imposed on us that, and it's so subtle that we don't know out of ignorance, since we don't know about, first of all, our real self, then we don't know about the three modes, we don't know about the spiritual science. We think that, okay, this life is going by their own. Sometimes our mind says that, oh, go and do some charity, give some money to the poor people or the old or the homeless people. The next time, the next moment, immediately next moment, our mind says that, why should I give that money? Let me invest it for my future. Suddenly a drop from Satoguna to the Rajoguna. So out of the modes, the influence, just like a magnetic field has an influence on the iron objects, and the way magnetic object is moving, the iron objects are also moving accordingly. Similarly, we have an impact of the modes, we have the impact on that mode, and how to deal. Since we don't know how to deal with those modes, that comes under the subject of ignorance. So the ignorance topic is basically very enlarged. We have an ignorance about our real self. We have an ignorance about what's going on actually in this world. And because of this, we consider ourselves that whatever we are seeing is true. So we are seeing this gross and subtle body. So we see that, okay, this is our true self. If we don't see any person, we consider him, he is dead. Even Srila Prabhupada, and also in Bhagavad Gita, it is mentioned that na hanyate hanyamane sharira, means neither nobody take birth, nobody dies, they just changes the form. So right now they are in the form of a human, a man. Tomorrow when he leaves this body, he will get the form of a woman based on his desires, or next birth he can take a form of a lion. So keep on changing the form. Somebody says that if we take ourselves as an energy as well, then the first law of thermodynamics also says that Energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It just changes its form. So if we are energies, we will never be destroyed at any moment of time. We will never ever be out of existence at any moment of time. We will just change our form. Today I am in the form of a man. Tomorrow I may get some other form, or maybe become an insect, or become a animal form, anything. And all those forms are based on my current activities, current karmic activities, whatever I'm doing. So this is the ignorance of knowing ourselves first of all, and then knowing the our actual work, what we have to do. So since we don't know about these two topics, since we don't know about ourselves, we don't know what's going on in this world, and we don't know what work we have to do, that's causing our suffering in this world, and we keep on coming as what in the later portion of this purport Srila Prabhupada also explains. So in this chapter, in this canto, the sages actually in the Naimisharanya started first of all the discussion about knowing the Supreme Personalities and their forms, and how they took birth, and how Krishna descends in different incarnations. So we started a discussion in that from that very note, and now they are moving towards how a living entity can realizes that Supreme Personality. And now they are discussing, now this particular section is where they're asking questions about self-realization, and asking more towards how to know the cause of our existence. So in order to see the absolute, so first thing we understand that we have to see ourselves, we have to self-realize ourselves, and we have to come out of ignorance. This ignorance is very dominant right now in majority of the people. They just spend their 8 hours in doing job, come back home, enjoy something, and then sleep, and then again wake up in the morning, then again start enjoying. Their entire life getting spoiled like that. And that's what Srila Prabhupada is saying. Since we don't know the reason, we are not working against it. So by ignorance, the self-interest is calculated in terms of gross and subtle bodies. So we started calculating our interest. So if I go to the job, I will become happy. If my visa get extended, then I remain here, then I will be very happy here. If I got the green card, then only I will remain happy. If I remain in some portion of this world, then I become happy. There is no happiness anywhere. It's at some point, every place has its own distress, as its own happiness calculations are there. But our idea is, and we are habitual to only see the happiness. We intentionally don't want to see the distress from that place that may come up from there. So that's what Srila Prabhupada is saying, that by ignorance, whatever the ignorance we have, the self-interest is calculated in terms of gross and subtle bodies. So we calculate in terms of our bodies, that if this just work for this body, just give work day and night, and to earn money so that our body can be satisfied only, and then enjoy some senses, and that will be our source of happiness. So don't care about who we are, don't care about who is God, don't care about our going back to God. All that ignorance is actually spoiling our life after life. Srila Prabhupada is explaining here. Since we are just changing the form with that ignorance. So first of all, in Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada, Krishna actually started explaining Arjuna about Atma Tattva knowledge, which is the chapter 2, when he started with who we are. First of all, know yourself, self-realization. Second chapter is entirely about that. I am not this body, I am the soul. Now, once you realize that you are soul, what's the next step? Step number 2 is, what I supposed to do then? Now I know that I am the soul. What my next business? My next business is to work for Krishna, be Krishna conscious. Be God, whatever work I'm doing, just dedicate that work. Either we should dedicate our karma to Krishna, or we dedicate our karma result to Krishna. So whichever way is possible. So that's the process. We can become the Krishna conscious, and we can and we can move towards our journey of self-realization. When, however, the one meets a self by proper culture, the activities of self begin. So activity of self begin means that proper and proper culture is here, like when we associate with the people are like-minded who are interested in doing these self-realization discussions, who are interested in self-realization, who are actually working towards self-realization. When we associate such like-minded people, then the actual activity of self begins. So this very word actually attracts my mind when Srila Prabhupada actually written here, the activities of self begin. So if you meditate on this, see that whatever a person is doing, if he is not self-realized, no matter how much hardship he is putting in, no matter how much wealth he has accumulated, no matter how much position he has, how much fame he has in the society, it is worthless, kind of, as been explained by Srimad Bhagavatam here. Because our actual activity begins when we do the self-realization, when we actually are at the platform of knowing ourselves, that who we are and why we are in this world, what my real business is, what I have to do actually. So that proper culture is whenever we associate with the like-minded people, then it starts. Therefore, a man who is engaged in the activities of self is called Jivan Mukta. So activities of the self, so a self means activities of the soul. So what is the activities of the soul? To remain Krishna conscious. Soul is, so we being the part and parcel of Krishna, like as we often read in various places, Srila Prabhupada also quote that just like a big machinery has a very small nut bolts fitted at different places. If those nut bolts are scattered on the ground, then they have no value. They could be thrown away, or they could be just dragged by the workers working over there through their feet. So as long as those nut bolts are away from that machinery, they have no value. But when those nut bolts actually get fitted in a machinery to have some part of that equipment or machinery work properly, then that nut bolt has a value. Similarly, when we are associated with our biggest machinery system, which is a Krishna, if we just associate with Krishna, we will work for Krishna, we think of Krishna, then only we have some value in our life. Then only we will be able to have understanding what exactly is the how exactly is the this process is going on for this self-realization, and we have something to share at that moment. Just like if I have not been Krishna conscious, that then none of us who are right now here, nobody will ever dare to listen to me what I'm saying. I will be just like any kind of, if I not being a Krishna conscious, since I am trying to become a Krishna conscious, I have prepared topic and I have working on it. We all devotees are listening. So I have some value at this moment because I have people listening what I'm saying. But if I'm not Krishna conscious, there may be people who are listening me, but when and I may be talking something else, but that talk doesn't have any value at the eternal standpoint. That talk may have up to some point they can relieve something, but not up to the eternal standpoint. It can make people understand what is going on, what exactly is the benefit for them. Like we have so many narrators in the society who actually try to give talks, lectures, but it's not fruitful in all ways, and it not actually give us the eternal benefit. until and unless some self-realized bona fide person give a talk from some Guru Parampara system. That talk actually gives the actual message that how we can live eternally, how we can overcome the fear of death, how we can overcome the fear of any kind of fear in our life. So if we listen from a self-realized person, that's the eternal benefit we can get. So in our evening Srimad Bhagavatam, we were reading Rudra Gita, where Shivji has actually explained to Prachetas, and they glorified Krishna. Shivji glorified Krishna to the Prachetas and asked them that they should also glorify in their journey towards becoming a sage. And also Shivji has also mentioned in one shloka that any person who recites this sutra will always be blessed, and will all his desires will be fulfilled, and he will definitely get the mercy of Krishna there. So if we follow some realized souls, then there will be an eternal benefit around it always. And if we just, and what will happen, and if we act accordingly, whatever the realized soul is saying, then our activities, then we are acting in a Jivan Mukta state. Is that whatever the realized soul has said to do, if we are following our activities, if we are doing activities in that mood, in that direction, whatever they have said, then even in this very lifetime, we are liberated. This is the statement here being given by Srila Prabhupada. There is no need to leave this body to become liberated then. Therefore, a man who is engaged in the activities of self is called Jivan Mukta. Jivan Mukta is he is liberated, or a liberated person, even in the conditional existence. So right now we are conditioned. We are conditioned to this environment. It is very cold. We are conditioned to so many things due to which we have to make some changes. So, but even if we remain in this conditional existence, but if we follow our real self, if we can understand, realize our real self, that I am not this body, I am the soul who is supposed to work for a super soul, and dedicate our life in that direction, then even in this conditional existence, there are chances that we can become happy and remain and lead a happy life. In the next portion of the paragraph, Srila Prabhupada to explain that this perfect stage of self-realization, now when we attain this self-realization state, now when we are in that state at this moment, first of all, Srila Prabhupada started explaining that what is the real need of society. Real need is to become self-realized. Secondly, he explained that once you become, now how become self-realized, just don't consider yourself as this gross and subtle body product. We are not the product of this gross and subtle body. This body we will leave one day. We don't care about. We are not part of this body. We are eternal. And when we are into that platform, then immediately that any kind of fear that we have will vanish. And once we are at that realization, we have to start associating, developing the culture. That what Srila Prabhupada explained. Culture will be developed when we associate with like-minded people, when we associate with the devotees. Then we develop the culture, and that culture will actually eradicate our ignorance. Whatever the ignorance we have, like ignorance towards what's going on in this world, ignorance towards our own self, ignorance towards what will happen after death, all those things will be nullified when we start associating with the devotees and develop the culture, and start listening from the devotees, what they are saying, what they are behaving. And the biggest example is, we talk about in Rudra Gita, where how Shivji has explained to Prachetas that whoever actually praises Krishna, who work for Krishna, will get liberated and get the Jivan Mukta stage at this very existence life, and when a conditionally existent right now. So now we are at this self-realized state at this moment. Even we are in the conditional state. Now Srila Prabhupada is explaining the perfect state of self-realization is attained not by artificial means, but under the lotus feet of the Lord. So there are people who artificially claim that they are realized, like we have so many sadhus in the society. So they are basically swadhus. Swadhus are basically those who take the juice only from the society, and then they don't care about real benefit of the people. Most of those swadhus are in jail these days. We know that from the news. So, but the real sadhu is, and is basically who is the true representative of Krishna. So how we can become self-realized is the next subject matter, because we definitely need some authority. There are so many false business or going on around in the society that we should not become a prey of it. So Srila Prabhupada explaining that the only way is not by artificial means. Somebody claims that, okay, you give me $35, I will make you see God, or you can also become God. These also concepts going on right now. So that can only happen. Self-realization can only happen under the lotus feet of the Lord, who is always transcendental. When we take the shelter of Krishna, taking shelter of Krishna means when we take the shelter of the bona fide Guru Parampara. When we have a Guruji, Guru Maharaj, who is authoritative, and our Guru Maharaj has the link with the Guru Parampara up to Krishna, at that moment our self-realization actually starts. That's a real way to get into this self-realization concept. Otherwise, everything is theoretical. We know that, okay, we are not soul. If so, we are soul, we are not this body. Okay, that is good, but that is theoretical. How I should realize it? The realization actually starts when you take the mercy of Guru, take the mercy of Krishna, not artificially. Theoretically, people may impose that, okay, I am the soul, I have no fear in life, but who knows, he doesn't have any fear or not. As long as we are fearful, we are not self-realized. So having a fear and being in fearfulness is two different things. So having a fear is good. That's been written in the Shastra, and as was hearing His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, he was actually explaining the difference between the two. Being fearful and remain in fearfulness is bad. So fear is basically, we can say, indication to make ourselves aware of something or make ourselves alert about something. So that fear is good. If you have a fear of bad habits, like I have a fear to drink alcohol, that is good for me. I will never touch alcohol. I have a fear to do any kind of intoxication. I have fear to do any kind of bad things. So that fear is good. But remaining in fearfulness is actually should be condemned, which actually doesn't make us lethargic, kind of thing. So as long as we are in fearful state, what will happen next? If something happened in the past, what will if it again happens in future, what will happen to me? So all those things, anxiety, anything that happens in future, and the fear about it. Fear about future is called anxiety, is very definition, and fear of anything that happened in the past is called depression. So if we are part of depression because something bad happened, and fear going, and something may happen in future as well, so that is called depression, and anything that can happen in future is anxiety, what will happen next. So all these two kinds of phases of fears can be immediately nullified when it comes at the platform of self-realization, because he knows that I am the soul, I am not this body. And first of all, that's the first thing, my real self is much greater than my biological existence as well as my psychological existence. My real self is much bigger than that. I am much bigger than my psychology as well as my biology. So that's something that immediately somebody realized that realization actually comes when we take the shelter of some realized soul who actually understand this, who can actually give us that information, that is our Guru Maharaj, who should be part of some authentic Guru Parampara. Because Krishna actually, as at that state, Krishna has imparted that knowledge to Brahmaji. Brahmaji has given to Narad, Manu, Ikshvaku, and all those Guru Paramparas come down the line up to our Guru Maharaj. If we are part of that Guru Parampara, then there are some chances we can also become free of this fear and any kind of fearfulness or any kind of anxiety or depression which is actually taking control of the society, and become self-realized. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord says that He is present in everyone's heart, and from Him only all knowledge, remembrance, or forgetfulness takes place. When the living being desires to be an enjoyer of material energy, the Lord covers the living being. So this is another question here comes that, okay, when you are saying that we are in this world, we are in this covered state right now, and there are two coverings above us. One is the gross body, other is the subtle body, and I am just sitting beside these two coverings. Why we are in this situation? Why we come into such state? Why we are taking this form? So that's the next explanation point Srila Prabhupada is giving. That okay, first thing we need to realize is Athato Brahma Jigyasa, as we started, who am I? Because that realization is that answer to that question actually realizes me that what's my relationship, what's my sambandha with my eternity, with my where I am linked to actually. So that particular information comes from that question. And when I got to that question that okay, how am I linked to that link information with Krishna will actually generate a desire within us. How should I get rid of it? Why I am in this dilapidated situation? Why I am in this miserable state right now? If my link is with Krishna, if I am the part and parcel of Krishna, why I am not with him right now? Why I am not with his planet right now? Why I am sitting right now in this material world out of conditioned life? So that's the third jigyasa comes in a self-realized person. Once one devotee asked to Srila Prabhupada that why we are in this state. Srila Prabhupada says that there could be a number of reasons. But if you get dropped in a well due to some reason, a deep dry well, what will be your business? Whether you think that how should I drop it, or your business is how should I get out of it? Maybe if I can ask that question among devotees, what should be the real business at that moment? If somebody likes to volunteer. I'm just repeating my question. If I get into a deep dry well, what should be my real business? Is to first of all explore how I get into this well, what caused me to drop in this well, or my real business is at that moment when I'm in the well, how should I get out of it? What should be my real business at that moment?
How to get out of this well. Oh, sorry.
Thank you. How to get out? This is a very simple question, very simple and straightforward answer. So how to get out of this well is my real business at this moment. So similarly, this material world is a kind of a deep, dry, dark, dense well full of miseries. We know that there are miseries. There are subtle miseries, there are gross miseries. Gross miseries we can see, like so much cold is there, so much or maybe so much heat is there, or there are so much social crimes happening. The Afghanistan is taken over by Taliban. Taliban is giving the so many alerts to different nations that it can happen to other countries also. So all those things, all those news circulating in our mind, these are gross miseries. Nothing should happen to us. And there are some subtle miseries also. Subtle miseries are in our mind. Adi Adhyatmik Tap. Adi Adhyatmik Tap is my mental problems. Some problems sprouted within me out of some state which I was in previously in my life. Out of depression, some problems are sprouted, and my mind and my mood becomes disturbed, and I fall into a mode of ignorance. So anything that So there are, in this world, there are gross miseries and the subtle miseries. So, but now my business, so I am around the miseries that I fully understand at this moment. My business is to know how, by hook and crook, what should I do at this moment so that I can get out from here. That should be an intelligent person should be doing. Like a person who is in the well, he should be doing that. He should be doing the same thing. He will not investigate or experiment how should I fell here. He first of all think how should I get it out from here. So that is what exactly is the next point Srila Prabhupada explaining is why we are here. That's the third question. First is Athato Brahma Jigyasa. Second is when I know the link between me and the God, I have to serve him. Third Jigyasa that came to mind is why I am here. That's the answer to this, because of my desires. I want to enjoy. That's what the reason I am here in this miserable condition. I want to enjoy outside Krishna. That's what Srila Prabhupada is saying. When the living being desires to be an enjoyer of material energy, illusionary phenomena, the Lord covers the living being in the mystery of forgetfulness. And thus the living being misinterprets the gross body and subtle body to be his own self. So it's solved, and everything is conducted by Krishna, whatever is happening. He has given us little bit independence to use it, but that independence misuse is actually causing the result. We know that, but this covering of our real self is actually being in the dictation of Krishna. So that, and it's basically a blessing in a way that so that I can satisfy my desire. So last night my son, he was insisting me to. He sometimes insists to watch some cartoons, like shows which he likes from India only. But I used to restrict him not to spend much time on there, just to be more kind of thing. But if still he insists, sometimes, no, I have to see. I have let me see for half an hour. Let me see for 15 minutes. Some kind of his inclination is there still. So I have to let him allow. Okay, just go and see. I cannot restrict. I cannot put a stop. I can do it. I can do it. But I know that if I do it, then he will do it latently without knowing me. Right now, it is good that he's asking me and doing it. But if I have stopped him, then if he has a desire in him, he can start doing it without knowing me as well. So I let him allow. Similarly, we insisted Krishna, as per the shloka, that I want to enjoy this world. I want to enjoy to have a good house. I want to enjoy to have where I can live happily. I want to enjoy this material world. And that desire is actually causing me a bondage here. This material world, we came into this material world because I want to enjoy it. And what will bring me back, what will send me back? The same desire will send me back again to Krishna. Srila Rupa Goswami says that in Nectar of Instruction, and so Nectar of Devotion, he's saying that what's the only thing needed for a living entity to go back to Krishna? The only thing that is needed is laulyam. Laulyam is desire to get Krishna. I want to come back, Krishna. I want to serve you. I want to give my 100% in your service. Whatever is there around is because of you. Now my time is to return you back. So whatever the best capability I have to serve you. So that desire is a driven. So we are actually, in different way we can say that we are desire driven entities at this moment. At one point we desire to enjoy independently, which causes our bondage to come in this world. Now our only key to go back again is this desire only. If we start desiring, and that desire Srila Prabhupada explained in the next point, and by the culture of transcendental knowledge, when living being prays to the Lord for deliverance from the clutches of forgetfulness, the Lord by his causeless mercy removes the living being illusionary curtain. So first of all, Lord covers the living being knowledge with the curtain because he desires to enjoy independently. Now Lord can only remove that curtain if we again desire to go back. Forgetfulness. He then engages himself in the service of the Lord in his eternal constitutional position. becoming liberated from the conditioned life. All this is executed by Lord either through his external potency or directly by the internal potency. So this is something we had got to understand today is, first of all, our main business is to know who am I, Yathato Brahma Jigyasa. Second thing is, what is my link? What is my linking? Where I'm linked to, where I'm connected. I'm connected to Krishna. I'm not a stray person who just created for without any reason. I am connected to Krishna, that is for sure. Okay, if I'm connected to Krishna, my real business is to be Krishna conscious. If I remain Krishna conscious, that's the only goal of my life. When I become Krishna conscious, I will often come in my mind that why I have fallen into this well, this dark well. This dark well is if this is not my home. This I'm just here. I have to leave this place one time. No matter I become Krishna conscious or I am not Krishna conscious, I will be kicked out from this world one day. No matter what wealth I will have, no matter what relationship I have, no matter what position I have, I will be simply kicked out from this world. If I have to leave this world, what I should do, I have to desire. I have one chance at this moment to desire to go back to Krishna. If my desire will listen, and it will be listened, since my desire was listened by Krishna earlier and he sent me here, he will certainly listen my this desire as well to go back to him. So let me desire so that Krishna, can I be there and can I serve you? Can I serve you to my optimum level? So that desire at least we can develop, which Srila Prabhupada is explaining here, is the real key to happiness. In this material world, which is conditioned existence, even living in this conditioned existence, we remain Jivan Mukta. We remain as in the liberated state. No matter we got the liberation or not, even if we just make our thought process like this, what Srila Prabhupada is explaining, what our text, what our Shastra is explaining, then we can certainly nullify our distress and anxieties in our life, and we can lead a happy life and definitely get Krishna some point of time in future. So I'm sorry I took some extra minutes, but still I like to conclude with the note that anything that you might have got, if you have any questions or any comments or any corrections, please suggest your viewpoint. I also need some corrections. So, yeah, it's a time for the forum right now. I'm opening the forum if you have any questions at this moment with the shloka that we have read today. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you for the wonderful class, Prabhu. It was beautiful. Nice reminder about a lot of things. Your analogies about the magnetic field and bolt nuts and bolts away from out of the machinery, all that was very nice to understand the concept also. A nice reminder. The entire purport is a nice reminder of what we have heard repeated. That's true, here. Prabhu.
This
very helpful.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
When I was reading this
process, is right. It's very amazing how simple it is. Once we realize we are in this dark well, and pray to the Lord, He gives the forgetfulness remembrance. So pray to the Lord to get us out of the clutches of forgetfulness. That is the beautiful reminder by Prabhupada. And your stress that the Lord gave us. When we wanted to enjoy separately, He sent us here. He gave us this material world. Same way, if we go ask Him for this, get me out of this clutches of forgetfulness, He will give us that. So your stress on that point is beautiful. Thank you very much. That's my takeaway, my prayer.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. It's all because of Srila Prabhupada. He's given us such a nice purport. When I was reading it, it was actually making me also recollect, like you said. We recollected so many points. I also recollected because in the span of life, we read so many things most of the time, but we often forget it. But this will keep us recollect the topic. Thank you, Prabhu, for your realization.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu. I think you spontaneously spoke without deviating the real purport of this verse so nicely, going through Prabhupada purport, recollection of so all the points. Very simple and very nice, Prabhu. Thank you very much for that. Oh, I think one more thing I saw that no, self-realization cannot happen by any artificial means. It's a very beautiful point. Now it was covered today. There's so many. We saw so many realized souls. They act. They say that because curtain of Maya is removed, therefore I am becoming God. We had so many self-realized rules that we heard, but here that said, and my Guru Maharaj also says that self-realization cannot be possible without God realization.
True, Prabhu. Very true. Yes.
Yeah. So therefore, that's a very wonderful point. So one has to realize God and understand our position. Then there's a possibility that we can realize about self.
Sure, Prabhu. Definitely, Prabhu. This is also a very nice thing that when we do a God realization, when we know who Krishna is, then only we can understand I am the son of Krishna. If I know my father, then I know me.
Yeah.
People then I know. If I'm not interested in my father, then often if I want to lead my life by my own, then oftenly there will be distresses. So we need to use the experience of our father. Thank you, Prabhu, for sharing that.
Thank you.
Any other question, comments? Although we have 3 minutes over it. I believe there is nothing. Then probably we can conclude. I would like to pray the Vaishnava Pranam and to conclude here. Vancha kalpataruhesha kripa sindhu vevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Vrind ki jai, Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sadgurudev Maharaj ki jai. Hare Krishna.